A real tough situation with my family. My family has a very direct, up close and personal relationship with racism.
Okay.
My great grandfather did 40 acres and a mule twice. We still own that land in Louisiana. But from there, it didn't really change that much. My dad went to a colored elementary school. My father. He's only 30 years older than me. He went to a colored elementary school before he came to California. In Louisiana. My uncles were in colored high school before they moved from Louisiana. My grandmother taught at a colored school in Louisiana. Then we came here. My cousin, who was the oldest of my generation, was an amazing basketball player. She had a full ride scholarship to UCLA off of basketball, but they also wanted to give her a scholastic award because she had a 4.0 all 4 years. She ran track. She broke every CIF woman's record in 1999. Every single one. So in 2000, at her school, October 14th, they were having an award ceremony for her because she was going to get a special medallion for, she created a Women of Color Club, which was the Ladies of Quality. All 13 of those women went on to four-year colleges and got scholarships and left with high regard. And she did a bunch of things for her community and her school. A very jaded, bigoted man shot and killed my cousin because his daughter had a look from a D2 school. And she didn't get enough playing time, so it had to be the black girl's fault.
Oh.
And he killed her at that ceremony in her school. So that's when stuff kind of switched for me, where I was like, no, this isn't going to work. And then I personally, I have on my record, I have assaults on officers. I have attempted murder on my record. That's still there. They put it on my mental health reports.
Why do you what does the attempted murder come from?
Because the officers decided to bring the man who shot my cousin into my aunt's house 3 days after he killed her. And I was the first one to see him. So I beat him with a bat. Then an officer tried to take the bat from me. I beat the cop too. Then my grandpa came over and he grabbed the bat and I let go.
Keep going.
So then I went to jail that night. I got out 2 nights later because my family bailed me out. Mm-hmm. Then it got worse from there because the dude that I had just beat got out on a $300 bail. So they bailed him out. He was back home. My uncles had people coming over to the house all the time because everybody was worried about protection for my family at that moment. So a couple of the dudes that were over at the house, they were from Lincoln Park Bloods. You can watch a couple of them dudes' stories on Gangland. They were upset and they said, hey man, we know where dude go to get his drinks and where he hangs out, man, we should shoot that shit up. I went, let's go right now.
Were you part of a gang?
No, I was 8 years old.
Oh shit. You were 8 years old and you had
8 years old. And I said, let's go right now, because he needs to die. You can't take my cousin's life.
Those words came out of your mouth at
Yes.
8 years old. He needs to die.
He needs to die today. I'm not going to let him live. So they went. They drove over into Santee, which was a KKK stronghold at the time and still is. I don't understand how people don't know that. There's a Grand Wizard that lives in California. Mm-hmm. He lives in Santee. He's not far. He's right there. Everybody knows that. Black people know this. This is important for us. So if we know that,
right,
it's hard for people to go, oh, there can't be any racism like that. He's right there. So they went to the corner of this block, handed me a little .380 revolver. And they went, oh, he's in there. Alright, you guys stay here. I need to go do this for my family real quick. Just when I come running out, just still be here. I was walking towards the front. Big, huge. He looked massive to me. He had to be probably 6 foot. He was a decent sized build. He was a grown man.
Right.
He goes, hey, you're in the wrong area. No, I'm not. Boom, boom. Dropped him. I shot him twice in his stomach. He lived. One dude ran around the corner. I ran to the door, opened up the door, let off 4 more shots into the bar, ran back. They were gone. I got caught right there. That was domestic terrorism. So then after that one, I had, luckily, a black judge. Luckily, thank God I had a black judge, and I had 130 people show up as character witnesses from my school. Which I luckily got to go to that school because that cop kicked me in my fucking face. And the lawsuit that was following that paid for that. And,
Wait. Let me get this right. The cop that kicked you in your face is correlated with you shooting, or this is a separate event?
The parents and the students and the teachers at the school that I went to after I got kicked in my face.
Okay.
The private school that I was able to go to after that.
Okay.
Those parents were the ones that came and spoke on my behalf. Those were the teachers that came and spoke on my behalf and went, he's not a bad kid. We've never had a violence issue with him. He actually gets bullied at school. He didn't beaten up. We've had problems with the kids just beating the shit out of this kid for years. And it's because I was the one black kid at that school.
Right.
And this was in Lakewood, Bethany Lutheran School, right there off of Clark and Arbor. I used to get my ass whooped because it was kindergarten through 8th grade. And them older white kids, they wanted to impress girls. And I was one different kid. So beating me up gave them points somehow. I don't know how, but it did. And that was how stuff worked for a while. And then, so the teachers came and they went, he's not a bad kid. This is something that we know he's never dealt with before. This is beyond his scope of possibility right now. Nobody thought this was possible for him. So the officer went, okay. So the judge went, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to give him a year for a crime of passion. He's going to do 6 months in a mental facility because we need to figure out what triggers him. Because if his triggers can blow up this big, that's a very big danger. Which, I don't blame them for that. I did 6 months there, and then I was supposed to do 6 months in a juvenile detention center. Not a camp, juvenile detention center, because I cannot socialize. According to what happened, I am not able to socialize with other people. I have social issues. So to keep that under wraps, I have to go to like a kid jail. So instead of doing that, because apparently by the time I was supposed to go to juvenile camp, it was quote unquote full and overcrowded. So then they put me in Wayside's 4-yard, the adult jail. And I went to the Wayside 4-yard, so then I was up with the murderers and the lifers, and they sat me in there. At 8.
At 8 years old,
At
you were
8,
there.
I was there for 3 weeks.
What was that like?
See, now everybody thinks that people in jail are animals. They're not.
Tell me more about that.
My cellie's name was Trey Devil. When he was arrested, he was 22. He's still in there now. And he's very close with a person that I was trying to mentor that apparently either took a wrong path or is just real rock solid with his neighborhood. So when I was in there with him, he was giving me books. He was teaching me big words.
Right.
He was teaching me to read. He was teaching me, he was helping me with my handwriting. It was literally like I had a mentor.
In jail.
Yes. And this man went to jail for murdering 8 people. Like, for sure, murdering 8 people.
And he took you by his wing and educated you.
It was like I was in school. But it's a black teacher, and
what were some of those principles that he did? Did he ever teach you, like he taught you like how to be a good person or any
very
kind of
much so.
ethics? Like, hey, I'm in here
Don't
for
ever
the
leave. So wherever you go, you don't want. Rule number one in jail: you keep yourself clean at all times. You keep yourself clean, not presentable, clean. Wash yourself. Make sure you don't stink. Make sure you're not sloppy and a mess. So keep yourself on a routine of a very direct, set way of doing things. Make sure that you maintain that. He taught me how to respect others. There's no need to. This was one of the craziest things that he told me. I remember this one word for word. People don't get it, but they don't have to. That's not their problem. It's yours. And that for me was, now it's key.
Right.
It's very key with speaking to people.
That's your motto to live by.
Because they're not going to get it.
Right.
It's not, as much as it is not my job to teach you, it's not your job to understand me.
Because it's outside of your control.
Either way. But I have a choice in teaching you and explaining to you how I am, but it's also your choice to take that in. If you choose not to, I don't have control of that, so I have to just eat that. If I choose to teach you, and you do take it in, then that's a win for you. That's not for me. So I chose to give that information. However you use it, you see fit. If you take it in, great for you, but that does nothing for me. Any information that you give is not to be given for your own advantage, because it's never going to come back to your advantage.
I need to ask you another question. And this just goes to your personality. I think I already know the answer, but I want to ask it anyways. Do you think peace is the normal condition of mankind?
No.
That's what I thought.
Not at all. For me, this is the part that I have to explain to a lot of my friends and things. I had a really close relationship with a dude, and he's kind of screwing it up right now, so I've taken a step back from sharing with him. For me, in my world, every person is a bad person.
Until proven different.
No, not even proven different. You have to make them not bad. You have to put them in the situations for them to be good people. You have to take away all those other evil options. You have to take all of that away, and then when they have no other choice, of course they're going to be great. They're going to be the nice people. They're going to be kind. They're going to be calm. But you have to position them there.
Human nature tells us that man is that political animal that is more inclined to do evil than to do good.
Yes.
Did they teach you any Machiavelli in prison?
No. I was young. I was super young, but I remember that book.
Machiavelli is one of my top philosophers. I read all his works. I can tell you this because he really is my main guy. I just read at him at leisure, and one of the basic problems of Americans is that they think that peace is the normal condition of mankind. And
it is not.
And it is not. So they think everybody's good, and everybody's fundamentally the same, and they don't really believe a lot in national character as much, in which they're wrong because they've never seen evil in the face.
Exactly. That's the part. That's where a lot of Americans are confused.
Exactly.
We haven't had a war on our soil that any of the people alive now have lived through.
Exactly.
They don't know how a lot of people don't know what war looks like, and when our veterans come home, they are not going to tell you because it's so different. It's almost as different as black and white.
Yeah.
When they see it and they understand it, they have to digest that, they have to compound that, and they have to compact it and hide it all the way back.
Americans have been living in peace for such a long time that they think that peace is normal, and it's not.
It's not by any means, and it's not even. So here's the funny part.
So
there's certain Americans that have lived in peace this whole time. It's not all Americans. It's not even the majority of Americans that have lived in peace. Because here's this thing that everybody tries to ignore or gloss over. And I learned this firsthand. When you are the marginalized group and you don't have numbers, they're going to be focused on the majority, not the minority, not the minute groups, not the small derivations away from their large flock. So when you look at the majority of people, they all have micro issues. They all have micro problematic situations that they are all in. Like, so even, let's say on this block, because I can speak for this place because I've lived here for damn near 20 years. Mm-hmm. There's arguments on this street all the time. All the time. There's people on this block that do not get along at all. If they're both out at the same time, don't be surprised if you see a boxing match in the middle of the street. And these let me explain this to you. That's a black house, and then there's one black house all the way down there, and then there's one black house on Spring.
Okay.
That's it.
The rest of it
white people.
So right now you're living in a predominantly
white guy that works at USC, white guy that works for a construction company, cop, Asian lady right here. This man right here tried to run for councilman. That's a contractor's house right there. This house over here is a school teacher. Up the two-story house is a white lady. Her husband used to work for a police dispatch, but that house was paid for by her mom and dad. So there's not too many black people. We have a lot of problem. I have a personal problem with the person that lives behind me because he called my dad a nigger. 15 years ago. 15 years ago. This happened 15 years ago. I will never let it go. I throw trash in his yard. I throw anything that is not like meant for the yard. I'll throw it in his yard. And he goes, stop throwing trash. Fuck you. You remember what you said. Remember what you said. I look just like him. Don't act like you don't know what you said to the man that looks like me. And when your son comes over and he asks if we got a problem, yes, we do. What do you want to do about it? I'll come around there and we can handle it. I don't care. Either which way. That's the thing. For me, I got lucky because once I became violent became very lucrative for me. Violence made me a lot of money in my life because I trained in MMA. I got lucky as hell as a young dude. I was in the right camp at the right time, at the right people. Everything just came together. Luckily for me, when I was 15, everything just started to mold.
Right.
And by the time I was 17, I was a prime prospect for the UFC. However, since I was able to not deal with my own trauma and I was not able to deal with my own mental flaws, I did not have sportsmanship. I read my waiver. It said somebody can kill me and nothing happens. My family gets no money. It's, oh well, you did your best. That's what all these fighters, that's the shit that they sign before they walk in that cage. Every single one. That's why when everybody's like, oh, they made $5,000, I was like, $5,000, but he could have died.
Right.
That a good trade for you? Because I'm not ready to die over $5,000, but I'll kill you for $5,000. It's not the same. So for me, I went overboard. I went beyond regular sportsmanship. If I got a submission, normally somebody's going to tap, let it go, get up. No, I have to break that. I got to go all the way. Every time. I don't care about a ref. He's going to try to get me off you. He's a man. He's just a man, and he can stop me just like he's going to try to stop me just like he would try to stop you. We'll see how effective that is, but it's not going to be enough. You're in danger just like me. If you chose to keep going, the roles would be reversed, and I would be stuck here. It would be me. So in my head, I'm not safe until I'm outside of this cage and that cage closes.
Right.
So I'm going to keep going as long as I'm here. So then, while I went on a terror when I was 16. I was fighting 8 times a week. I had 8 legitimate MMA fights every week for a year. Because I had gotten to a point where I was so comfortable and I was so knowledgeable of what I was doing that I can cut down this fight to 5 minutes. And I'll be done in 5 minutes. I just have to do this, 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 and this. You're not going to stop it. You're not going to be able to get to me. As soon as I get to here, it's over. And that's all I did for a year, was get there, get it done. Get there, get it done. Get there, get it done. And every time I did it, it was nasty. Every time. So then, the pros that saw, he's on a fucking bubble. He's about to be here with us. Does anybody know this kid? Rampage Jackson knew me. And Rampage went, I know. And when he gets in, whatever, I'm hoping that he's at 185. I'm hoping. Because then I could just live at 225s and be cool. But if he comes to 225, I'm done. And they went, why? He's not going to quit. He doesn't stop. He doesn't care. He doesn't even tap when he's wrong. If he's losing, he doesn't tap. That dude is not, no, I'm not fighting him, so I'll just leave. I'll be done. And then right behind him, Matt Hughes, Chael Sonnen, Chuck Liddell, John Jones, Forrest Griffin.
John Jones is a bad motherfucker.
John Jones ran for his life from me when I was 16.
Really?
He turned pro because his next fight as an amateur was me.
You're just shitting me.
I fought Conor McGregor as well. He was a very nice dude when I first fought him. I fought him. I was one of his first 3 fights in amateur fighting.
God damn.
I was 16 at that time. And the thing about Conor was he was such a nice fucking guy. He was such a nice guy. I wasn't gonna do him dirty like I did everybody else. Cause my whole thing was everybody loves to talk shit. Oh, ramp up the fight. No, I'm gonna beat the brakes off of this kid. I'm gonna hold you to everything you say. That's my rule. If you say it about me, you better be able to do it. Because if you cannot, I'm going to push you to the limit to where you would have.
Right.
If you cannot, you shouldn't say it. And Conor, all he said was I respect this dude a lot. This is going to be a great fight. I'm going to give my best effort, and hopefully I can come out of this one on top.
But he didn't do any trash talking like he does the other guys.
All shit talking like you've seen now?
Yeah.
That's Dana's fucking fault. I hate that man for that.
Really?
That's 100% Dana White's fault. Look at every champion that Dana has ordained. Look at all of them. They all end up fucked up. They all do. Every single one. Chuck Liddell is a fucking basehead. He's coked out of his mind. Tito Ortiz, coked out of his mind. John Jones, coked out of his mind. Rampage Jackson tested positive for cocaine. That's why he lost his belt. Everybody didn't understand how, he came out and he lost. No, his belt was leaving before that. His belt was leaving before that. And then everybody's like, well, why didn't he? That's why. He had to lose. Because it was about to be 3 champs in a row, all coked out.
Holy shit.
3. Because it went from Tito Ortiz's hips to Chuck Liddell's hips. From Chuck Liddell's hips to Rampage Jackson's hips. From Rampage Jackson's hips, it went to Forrest Griffin's hips. And from Forrest Griffin's hips, it went back to Rampage, who gave it up to John Jones. That's the whole progression.
So it's not a matter of them being the best fighter. It just gets passed down?
No,
it is.
They are the best fighters,
okay,
for the most part, unless you're about to lose your belt anyways. And then it depends on the circumstance.
Like politics and stuff like that?
Yes, very much so.
What are the politics like that?
So for me, just like I was telling you, all those guys, they all threatened to retire if I got signed. If I just signed the contract to be on the UFC roster, they were going to retire.
Right.
That's politics, is it not?
Yeah.
But you want to have the best fighters in the UFC, right?
Correct.
That's not true. It's not true. I just had to cut you short right there. It's not true. He wants the most money-making fighters in the UFC.
Yeah, keep educating me because I have no clue.
He does not care about talent whatsoever.
Money.
Case in point, CM Punk should never be on the UFC roster.
Right.
CM Punk has no MMA history. CM Punk got his ass whooped in 2 minutes in his first fight. Why are you setting up another one for him? Unless it's about money. That's just what it is. So, they all threatened to retire. So then, the next big option at that time, I was still like, I'm better than these guys. That's why they're scared.
How old are you now?
I am 28. I was like, I'm better than them. This is not, it wasn't even a debate for me. Oh, you guys are all scared? That means that I must be better than you and you know it before I did. Cool. Dana White comes back to me 4 months later. He says, hey, we want to get you signed onto our roster, but we need you to do the Ultimate Fighter. I'm not going to do a TV show. The mixed martial arts was so personal and so serious, and I was so dedicated to it because it was my crutch through getting through what happened with my cousin. It was everything for me. So I'm not going to go on a random TV show and let people talk shit about me and have all of the confessionals and the reality show. I'm not about to make a spectacle of myself for you. I fight. It's what I do. It's what I love, and it was something that I could not let go of. So then I told Dana, I was like, if you want me on the Ultimate Fighter, cool. But you need to have all them dudes sign an NDA that says that they cannot say my name in any confessional, ever. You cannot speak about me to anybody else, ever. The entire show. Don't say shit about me. And he went, why? Because if I hear somebody starting a rumor or saying something about fighting, they need to show me then. I don't care about getting in a ring. I'm not going to wait for anything. We're going to get it done then. As soon as I hear it, I'm acting on it. I don't care about your cameras. I'll get kicked off in the first night if somebody thinks that they could size me up. It didn't matter to me. I was there. I went to mixed martial arts to be violent. And it was what I wanted at that time. I wanted to hurt people. I wanted to feel that pain.
Right.
And honestly, if I'm 100% honest, I was trying to die. I was literally out there trying to get myself killed. That was my I think that was my end game at that time.
Being honest with yourself right now?
I think that was my end game, was somebody's going to be so much better than me, and I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to tap out. If I could get him just over that tipping point to where he doesn't think humanely, I could get somebody to kill me. And I think that's where my head was. Honestly. I was drugged out of my mind. I was high. I was pill popping like no tomorrow. From 14 to 22. Lean, pills, alcohol were my shit. That was my shit. I played football when I was 14. And me being a fucking junkie at the time, before every game, I'll get myself 3 lines of lean. 3 lines. Pour that in. 2 Percocets. Vicodin. And an Adderall. Boop. Drink that up. I'm ready to go. for every football game. We had 10 games. I was high for all 10.
God damn.
Then, that was also my after-fight drink. That was my shit. So, oh, let's go pub. I'm done. Let's go pub. I gotta go to sleep. So, that, I think, played a part into, I'm not gonna die here. I've been doing all these drugs. Fuck it.
Right.
And it became a mess. And, so, long story short, Dana cut that offer off the table. He wanted me on. It was almost picture perfect how he was trying to set it up. But I saw something in the way that he was setting it up that I was like, some funny here. That I personally don't. For me, I had a rule in amateurs. If I fight a black dude, you're paying us both 5 times as much. You're paying us both. I don't care. I'm not gonna fight unless he and I are both getting 5 times our regular purse. Because there's a million white dudes in this fucking stable. You're picking out of probably 30, 40 black dudes. And there's 150 guys on the roster that are not black. Why are you picking from these 40? You can leave. They aren't even ranked where I'm ranked. And you're still trying to set this fight up like it's going to be some fireworks. I'm sorry, but my grandfather, luckily when I was a kid, after I got out of the mental facility and all of that stuff, I spent a month with him every summer. So I'm 17. I got into UFC juniors when I was 16. So that was 8 years of me going to my grandfather's house every month. And he taught me about slavery. And he taught me about what happened in Louisiana. And then he took me to Louisiana for at least one of those weeks every month. And I went and I lived on that farm. And I went and I saw everything. Literally everything. It's the same house that my great-grandfather made. It's still up. It's still standing on our property. It's still being used. It's still occupied. And I saw it. I saw it all. And he specifically, because my family was my specific family. Me, my mom, my sister, my dad. My dad was an instructor at Laukundil Bellflower at the time. And he taught me about buck fighting. Yeah. He went, white people, when they wanted to be entertained, and they wanted some pugilism, picked the 2 strongest black dudes, told them fight to the death. And that's how they did it. And I went, and I, luckily, since this had been ingrained in me for 8 years, when I got into the UFC juniors, they were like, yeah, we got this guy over here, and he's black. And I went, And I read the waiver, and I went, So you want me to fight him, and one of us potentially die in that ring, and we're supposed to both be cool with this? No, I want more money. I want more money for this.
Right.
And then, well, we can't give you more money. You're only 10 fights in. You're highly sought after, but right now we don't have the power to move our budget like that for you yet. You don't have that type of buying power. And I went, so what would it take for me to get that? You're gonna need to break some records. You're gonna need to do this and the other. That's why I went on my terror when I was 16. And I went, okay, so now I'm 150-0. I've won 150 fights, amateur. So, you're going to pay me 5 times more. And now, in fact, since I am where I am and I'm setting records, you're going to pay me 10 times as much now. And you're going to give him 5 times as much. I understand it's a little bit lower for him, but you guys owe me. Because I've been saying this shit for a year now. And I've been doing nothing but making people bleed, as well as bleeding myself. And they started paying. Now, what Dana was trying to set up was a fight between me and Kimbo-Slice.
No way.
It was the same tough series that Kimbo was in, was the one that he was trying to get me to sign for. And when he was trying to talk to me about signing, Kimbo was in that meeting. as well as Rampage because he was my mentor. He was at my first fight. I fought a guy from Rampage's camp. It was a white boy from Rampage's camp. And I won. Nervous as hell. He liked how I worked, and he went, I want to teach you the business of this because you look like you got what it takes for this. Yeah. And I went, I'll take any help I could get. I barely figured out how the fuck to get here. I got you. So that we were all in the meeting, and he was, yeah, I really want you to come. We're gonna set it up to where you and Kimbo are gonna be on the same team, and and then maybe if you make it to the final round and you get the UFC contract, then we're gonna have a super fight as well a month later with you and Kimbo. And I went, you don't have the budget for that. You don't have the budget for that fight. Oh, the purse will be $15,000. That's not the purse that I'm talking about here at all. No, we aren't even. You're nowhere near my ballpark for that fight. No, you're nowhere near it. And Kimbo was like, "What? You scared? You scared, man? We gonna bang it out anyway, man. We gonna figure this out." And I was like, Kimbo, you gotta understand. You gotta understand, man. I don't fight black people for the same price that I'll fight a white person because they all want to see us fight more than they want to see me fight him. And he went, really? And I went, have you seen your YouTube? And he went, yeah. Well, I'm the nastiest dude in the amateur circuit right now. By like a long shot. This is a fight that every MMA family, every martial arts person is going to want to see. Let alone the fact that you are a gigantic man. You are huge. Everybody's going to want to see you fight. And then all of the MMA people are going to want to see me fight. So now Dana has the biggest crowd he could ever ask for off of unranked fighters in his organization. Right. No. You're going to pay me. You're going to pay me for this if you want me to fight him. And they went, oh, well, we would have to, you're going to have to give up a lot for that fight. You're going to have to give up at least 1.5 to me. I'm not talking about fighting him for anything less than 1.5 million. I don't give a fuck if you pay everybody else $5 grand. I don't care. You're paying me 1.5 for that fight. Period. Minimum.
Ultimately, what happened with your career?
I ended up getting barred from the UFC. I went overseas to the Dream Fighting competition, which was, so you remember back in the day, it was the UFC and Pride.
Right. And
then the UFC bought out Pride. That same organization made another organization called Dream. I entered into that. So then, I went and I started flying up the ranks there. I went 8-0. I was on my way to my title fight because I ran through everybody. 8-0. Nobody made it to the third round. Everybody lost within 10 minutes. Professionals that worked out for months. That paid me for my film, because that was the other thing, was you have to pay me for my film. I don't get filmed by everybody else. It's not easy to get film on me. So you can pay me for that because my coach films. And the angles that we got are better than the shit that you'll get from them. And we'll give it to you. I'll give you everything. But you gotta pay me for it. $2 grand, you get all my tapes. You get every ounce of film I got for $2 grand. And that was it. So then these guys, they paid us. Got their film, worked out for 3-4 months at a time, still lost in 10. Because for me, I don't care if you see that. Doesn't change the fact that I'm not gonna move. It doesn't change the fact that, yeah, you can move, sidestep, hit me here. I'm still gonna go this way. I'm still gonna go this way. Every time I'm going to do the exact same shit. Every fight. The only thing that's gonna change is what you do. And it's still not gonna matter. Got to 8-0. I was gonna fight Jake Shields. What did Jake Shields do? Oh, I signed this contract with the UFC. Oh, versus belt battle. and he lost, but my belt was gone because it had gone to the UFC. So the UFC went, we're not gonna have a fight in Pride in Dream with him. We're not gonna fight in Dream with this guy. We'll just buy out the rest of your roster. Fuck that. We'll take out all your roster and then you guys are done. Boom, did it again. And that was the end of that. I went back to jiu-jitsu, had a great 2013, 14, 15. I ran it up, and it was awesome. And I was the #1 grappler for 3 years in a row. Went undefeated 3 years in a row. And then I disappeared for 8 months due to a depression. When I came back, everything was different. Everything was different. The way people thought was different. The point system was different. Everything was different in jiu-jitsu. So I still competed here and there, but I had to scale back heavily. And I eventually retired 3 years ago.
Why?
So there was there was 3 crazy people decisions that I had made with my life. Like psychopath shit. Like, this is nuts.
Right.
I wasn't gonna live past 25. 1.
You told that to yourself.
I knew it.
You thought you knew it because you're 28 now.
I was 100% sure I'm not making it past 25.
And you were okay with that. That was
It didn't matter. It wasn't gonna be my choice.
Why was it?
In my head,
yeah.
Once by 25, I should be so fucking great. Everybody knows my name. And from what I've personally experienced, from everybody knowing your name and you being so great, you get killed for it. I'm not gonna make it past 25 with that. I'm gonna shine too bright. They're gonna clip me just like they did my cousin. They did. I didn't have another option in my head. It wasn't like, oh, what are you gonna do after this? Mind you, when I was a child, so to make it worse, what that cop did to me, just to make it a little bit worse for you,
yeah.
A week before that, I had just got off my oxygen tank.
You were in an oxygen tank for?
Yes, they did not expect me to live past 2. Once I lived past 2, then I was going to die at 4. Once I made it to 4, they told me I was going to die at 8. Once I made it to 8, then I might make it to 17.
So death has been constantly on your mind.
By the time I was 17, then all of a sudden I had a perfect bill of health somehow.
So no wonder you have such a fearless attitude towards life, because you've accepted your death ever since you've been a kid.
It was never an option for me. That's the thing. Once my cousin passed, I turned into a monster, like literally.
And then you learned how to control it.
No.
You haven't?
No. So the thing is I don't have to.
Right.
Everybody else controls it for me, because you're not going to put me in a position to be that monster. You have to put everybody in position to do things. Once I know that I'm in that position to become that monster, that's going to be a very tough day for you. But you haven't put me there yet. I don't see the signs of this is a bad man.
Right, but see, here's what I'm trying to. Your idea of like, okay, you're a monster. There's still a part of you that kind of controls it because of the other 4 cop officers that have pointed the gun at you. Or do you feel that's just the institution of, I work here, I can't let this happen, and that fear of repercussions from like your life kind of stopped you from going to that evil place?
That for me is entertainment. Those situations for me are entertainment. Because to me, I'm looking you in your eyes. I see your fear.
Right.
And you're looking me in mine, and you see that I wish you fucking would. I wish you would pull that trigger. Because all that does for me is I have a brother that's in heaven. I have a cousin that's in heaven. I have 2 grandparents, 1 grandfather I never got to fucking meet. All in heaven. And they're all waiting for me. I got friends from my neighborhoods, all in heaven. I've been to 46 funerals. I am 28 years old. I have been a pallbearer, carrying people at 32 funerals. I am 28 years old.
Death is such a part of your life that you've seen it through and through that it just doesn't faze you.
After After I got out of the juvenile detention center, I went to a funeral the same day. Then after that day, every 3 weeks, I went to a funeral for somebody that I knew. Every single time. When I was 6, I was at a birthday party, and that changed some things, but it didn't register because I didn't watch it. But I was at a 6-year-old's birthday party. I was 6. It was my friends. They were twins. In Bellflower at Sims Park. Off of Clark and... I forget the other street name. It's right up Clark. Yeah. And we were all there. Mexican dude. I saw him take his whole upper body outside of the car. After that, what I saw was the underside of a table. When I got up, there was a kid dead over here. There was a kid dead, 3 kids down that way. The kid that was dead over here, it was his birthday. Didn't register in my head. I didn't get it at all. We didn't know at all. We didn't know what happened. We didn't know if the kid was dead. They just said, oh, he's hurt real bad. He's going to be back soon. That's all we knew. Those funerals I didn't go to. I didn't even know or register in my head until my cousin was murdered. Then I went, I've heard this. I've seen that fire before. I've never saw them kids again. What's going to happen? And I went and I saw my cousin in a hospital, and she begged me to not let that allow me to hate. And she made me promise before I left that hospital room that I wouldn't hate anybody for what happened. And sadly, I do.
You still do?
Very much so. Very much so. I hate bigots to a point where, like I said, I'm getting in arguments with a dude that was very, very close to me. I had known him. I had gotten into fights for him. Right. I had more so than fights. I had gotten into shootouts for him, on his behalf. I protected this man since I was a sophomore in high school. 12 years. Now he's deciding to post, you guys, black people are just looting and doing all this crazy stuff, and he's demeaning, and he's condemning shit, and he's talking down.
And anybody can talk shit on the fucking internet and not feel the repercussions. That's the thing that gives them the fake courage.
But it got worse for me.
Right.
Because I was trying to explain to him with the Rayshard Brooks case. They could have took him home. They could have. That was an option. And he goes, oh, well, they had to legally arrest him. They had ran a breathalyzer. And I went, man, I've had a breathalyzer. I was 20 years old. You were with me. You were at the party I was at. And I got breathalyzed. Did you see me the next morning? And he goes, yeah, you were back at the place. And I went, because they drove me there and dropped me off. They can do that. It's doable. And what he said from there was, oh, well, should we really take it into account because they protected little old Jelani's life? Really? So I can die to you. And it mean nothing. That's acceptable to you. Because of law can be interpreted both ways. My life is worth a law.
What's your view on racism in terms? Do you hate white people?
No.
Or you don't?
No.
I didn't think you did.
That was one of the most traumatizing things for me is after I left from the detention center, I went from a majority black group of kids that for the most part got along.
Right.
To being around nothing but white kids who didn't like me because I was the black kid. Right. Until 6th grade. So in 5th grade, I was getting shitted on. Everybody was talking crazy again.
So let me ask you this: what is your thought process with victim mentality? People who think, like, because it seems like for you have such a tough fucking leather, right? How do you view the victim mentality? Is there anything you want to say about that? People sometimes, like looking like victims and saying, "Oh, poor me, this is happening to me all the time," and taking responsibility in your daily life, and part of that, because you have a really tough leather, and everything that's happened to you has shaped you into the person that you are today.
That's true.
Right? So in classic Stoicism, for Marcus Aurelius, who's another great philosopher that I really like, he says that everything happens for your own good, not for. I can see you shaking your head.
That's true.
Yeah, and not everything happens for a reason, but everything happens for your own good. So, for example, if you're like a person that says, "Oh, you can't think to say I regret being like this in my early 20s," no, because you wouldn't have anything to fix in the first place.
Exactly. One, you wouldn't have things to fix, and two, you wouldn't have experiences that can forebode.
Right.
And you wouldn't have that. So, for people who are victims and the victim mentality, I understand it. I understand it, and I appreciate it. And to me, for me, when it comes to somebody having that mentality, people need to pay attention. Don't write it off. I know it's annoying. It's annoying as fuck to just watch somebody constantly complaining, always upset. It's irritating as fuck.
Yeah.
But you gotta look. You have to, because if you don't look, they're stuck there. They're constantly asking for help. It's always there. You gotta constantly ask for help. And when it's never coming, when you don't see the support, when you don't see people rallying to your aid, fuck. What can I do?
Right.
Like for me, had my bosses not been at my job, I was sitting there like this, like, oh fuck, man, shit. Please don't. Even though I have no control over this, all I can say is please don't shoot.
Because it's utopian thinking to think that everybody can knock away their victimhood and just kind of have that kind of tough leather that you have. Not everybody can get to that person because everybody has different life experiences, correct? Yes. So not everybody can kind of get to that point, but I still feel like the reason you say that is because because you've gotten to this level yourself, you are able to fight for those.
That's your misconception.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get here by myself. I didn't make it by myself at all.
I mean,
I had a legit. So let me explain.
Go ahead.
The first 6 months of me in that mental facility,
right,
a white person couldn't come near me, ever, at all.
Mm-hmm.
If a white person came near me, I was gonna try to kill you.
Right.
It wasn't like oh, he's gonna talk to us and figure. No, I am looking to murder you.
Right.
Right now, I'm not talking to you. I'm not shaking your hand. I'm not giving out hugs. I'm not being friendly in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to kill you.
Yeah, so you definitely had a mentor that...
There was a black woman who is now my third mom. I call them my mothers because they were mothers to me in aspects.
Nurturing.
And they nurtured me, and they brought me... Either they brought me back from the brink in some way, shape, or form, mm-hmm. or they watched after me in one way, shape, or form. Either one of those, they're my mothers. So I met my third mom in that mental facility. Thank God for that woman. I wouldn't be here today without her. Because there's a secret about St. Mary's. They don't use FDA-approved drugs. It's pre-FDA approved drugs on mental patients. Why? Because who's going to believe a mental patient? Now, I have a scar on my foot from Haldol. Haldol is now used to kill horses. They put that in my foot to paralyze me and stop me from moving. Because I had attacked an orderly because a kid was trying to get away, and I saw the orderly chasing him, and I saw that the other orderly that started chasing the kid didn't all the way lock my door. He didn't lock it all the way. I wasn't stuck in there, so I could get out. And the minute I got out, there was a white dude right there. You gonna feel this. I attacked him. I gouged out one of his eyes. They hit me with my foot. I couldn't move for 3 days. They were testing out Haldol in pill form as well at that time. And they gave it to 25, 26 kids in a test to see if it could mellow hyperactivity, because they didn't know what the fuck was wrong with me. They thought I was hyperactive. They thought they had a slew of things that they thought was possible that just shit didn't add up right. Like, at the end of my evaluation, they told me that I had genetic aggression. Yeah. So, luckily for this woman, she saw me as a kid, as a child, that had he just needs some help. He just needs a little bit more guidance. He needs a little bit more time taken with him. It's not that he's got mental problems. It's not that he has a mental breakdown all the time. He's just a kid that made a couple bad decisions. He just needs that little tweak here and there, and he's fine. And she stopped giving me my pills. Of the kids that survived that drug test, which was 7, I was one of them. There's 6 others of us. I know where each of them are at. 2 of them are dead. They killed themselves. The other 5, me included, we all became junkies at one point in time. I luckily have recovered, and I only smoke weed. That's all I do now.
Right.
I stopped popping pills at 22. Stopped drinking lean at 26. Yeah, 26. And don't get confused. I did try to kill myself a lot of times. A lot of times after that. I tried. That's actually part of the reason why I stopped drinking lean. Was because that was the last time that I was going to try to kill myself. I had found out that I was attempting to have a child. Well, it wasn't even that I was attempting to have a child. I thought I had a kid at 16.
Oh, okay.
Legitimately, I thought I had a kid at 16. A baby on the way. So that's part of that explosion. That was a part of the motivation for that. But I had signed over my parental rights to the girl that I was dating's father, because I wanted my kid to have a home. I was homeless at the time. I wasn't even living here with my parents. I was by myself. I lived in the locker room at Milliken High School. Why, you would say? Because I had a breakdown, I can say. It was a very traumatic moment for me, I should say. Once I got out of mental facility and everything, I started gangbanging immediately. I was 9 years old. Got put on the hood. I was from Oak Block Crip. Boom. Got in tune with them. Got into drug distribution. 9 years old. Why? Because my auntie's house was getting foreclosed on, my uncle didn't have a place to live, and my grandpa's house was up next. They need money. So then we went down to San Diego every weekend. Every single weekend. If I wasn't at a funeral, I was in San Diego. So guess what? Every weekend, I'm leaving $2,000 underneath the pillowcase. Boop, boop, boop. Every weekend. My parents didn't know. And my auntie thought it was my dad. My grandpa thought it was my dad. My uncle thought it was my dad. My dad is the only one that was like, I wasn't giving out any fucking money. We were having trouble ourselves. Where did that money come from? Ooh. Then all of a sudden, hey, why do you have 3 bags every time you go to school? Oh, Dad, don't. It's all for football equipment. But you always come back with one. Every time I pick you up for practice, you only have one. Where did the other 2 go? I don't know. I have no idea. My dad found out that I was doing drugs. Whooped my ass. But it wasn't a bad one. It was more of a worried whooping. Like, we could have lost you forever doing this dumbass shit, and you had no idea. Yeah, I do. I was just in jail, Dad. I know exactly what these charges carry. And he was like, we can't afford to lose another one. Your grandfather cannot afford to lose another grandchild. We're not doing that. So you don't sell drugs anymore. I'll do whatever I have to do to take care of everybody else, but you don't sell drugs ever again. Deal. Fast forward, I'm 15. Me and my mom have a little spat. My mom is just getting into menopause. She goes, hey, your son's doing drugs again because he feels like he doesn't have to. Didn't even get the whole sentence out because me and her were arguing over the trash cans. And she thought, oh, he got this whole I can do whatever I want to attitude. Yeah, I just didn't feel like doing that at the moment. So then I was like, no, I'll get to it later. And all of a sudden I had hair on my chest and I'm the big guy now. And my mom said that. My dad swung at me. I ducked it. I hit my dad perfectly on the chin and he went out. Put my key on his chest and I walked out the door and I didn't come back for 2 years. So I signed my kid over to the girl's dad. I was still going to be a part of his life. I was still going to be there. To my knowledge, the kid was going to be there. And as soon as I signed it, he went, thank God, now we can get our restraining order so then we can keep our kid, I can keep my grandchild away from a monster like you. Okay. So then, I was doing pretty well for myself at the time. That was back when the Nissan 350Z was brand new and everybody was, ooh, I was able to afford that car because of MMA. And I was driving back over the 605, that little riverbed. I fishtailed into a gate on the, so let's say you're going down Wardlow this way, it's going to be the left hand side. Fishtailed through it, you can go there now, that pole is still gone. And car flew down into the fucking riverbed. I was in it, but fucking airbags kept me alive. I only had a broken rib. Got out the car, walked back to Milliken, went to sleep. That was the first. Well, that wasn't even. Yeah. No, that's the second time I tried to kill myself. The first time I tried to kill myself, I kept putting a fucking gun to my head in this house. And my dad didn't know I had one. And then he found out and he punched literally. So I was putting the gun to my head like this every morning and asking myself if I was going to have a good day. The door's on this side. He opened the door, he saw me. I went to start turning to look. His hand went boom. Going over my head. Snatched it from me.
The gun went off?
No.
Oh.
No. I didn't have my hand on the trigger.
Oh, okay.
Yet. I didn't think that bad yet. It was just, am I going to have a good day? Then after that, pills just went nuts with pills when I was at Milliken because I was right there. My locker's right here. I'm getting fucking pints for free from guys on my team. They love giving me drugs because that's what I do before the game, and I'm lit. I'm number one middle linebacker in CIF at the moment. Of course you're going to give me what I want. Everybody's going to give me what I want. They didn't even check whenever they did drug checks at the school, they skipped my locker on purpose.
Huh.
Yes. They knew that there was drugs in there. It wasn't a question. They knew. There was also a sawed-off shotgun in there. Just in case people wanted to have a problem. Yeah, I was that kid.
Damn.
So after that, so fast forwarding to, I stopped drinking lean at 26. That's for sure, because that was a week after I found out I found the kid. You know, all this time later. At first, I was told, I was told, so we're in 2020. I ran into her again in 2014. She told me she got an abortion. Then 2016, her boyfriend at the time, me and him were close. He thought she was cheating on him. So I played Inspector Gadget and started driving him around, stalking. Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. We was going to catch him like these bitches catch us. Yes. Yes. We were working together in tandem. Man. Then all of a sudden, her ass ended up at Long Beach Airport. That nobody knew where the fuck she was going. Then all of a sudden, I find out she's in Minnesota. What are you doing in Minnesota? That's where my son was. Found his ass. Got a DNA test. Not my kid. So now, I just went crazy in mixed martial arts. I had just done all this shit because for me, in my head, my motivation was, I'm going to shine so bright. Yes, I'm going to get clipped, but my son will know my name somewhere.
You did all of that through the UFC to prove to your
so then my son would know my name somewhere. And that's not my kid. I know whose kid it is, though.
And that was an inspiration that you had on just a belief. Mm-hmm. And then find out how. So how does that make you feel about...
Oh, I was going to kill myself in the backyard.
After you found out? You were going to kill yourself after you found out that you were...
But I needed one more pint. And I OD'd before I could shoot myself. And my mama found me. And the gun apparently went off when it fell. Because I fell on my fucking... And the gun went off. I actually... Now, if I clench my jaw, you'll see a little gap right here. Mm-hmm. That's from my last surgery. Because I cracked my head open when I fell.
What does the future look like for you now?
I don't know right now. Right now, what I'm focused on is my little cousin, he just joined the Marines. In my head, I'm not the person that everybody in the family should be looking for. I'm not the person that's going to lead the next generation of my family. Neither is my older cousin, Jarrell. He's focused on being himself. But the person that can lead and should lead, he's in the Marines right now. So I need to keep as much stress off him and stay here as long as I can for him until he's out of the Marines. Whenever he chooses to come back and just be a veteran, cool. Then I can do whatever I want. But right now, I need to hold down the fort. I need to take care of everybody in the family, and I need to make sure that everything is copacetic and happy for when he comes home.
This is what keeps you alive.
Yes, sir.
The sense of family, the sense of protecting your people.
Mm-hmm. Because if I'm not here, my dad doesn't live here anymore. My dad left this house after he found out that my mom lied. I came back here. Luckily, a girlfriend of mine found out about the relationship between me and my mom, and she worked her ass off to fix it. She spent 4 months coming to this house every day, giving my mom updates on me. Before I came back here once.
So, do you want a family of your own?
I would love to. I would love to have a family of my own.
You have a girlfriend right now, or what?
No. That's
you're just doing you're doing your thing. Okay, trust issues. Okay.
Yeah, because I almost got engaged in 2015. 2015. I was trying to get engaged. The girl cheated on me, and that was that. I was literally about to get engaged though when I found that shit out.
When she cheated on you, what was your reaction? You didn't have any kind of, involuntary... Did you have a feeling of you were just going to leave her? Or do you have a feeling of, I want to get you back at this, or I want to actually...
So, when I found out, she had already broken up with me.
Okay.
So, she had already broken up with me. I found out a month later from a friend of mine that she was hanging out with a dude that was under my wing. And he didn't tell me, and she didn't tell me, and I was feeling the type of way. And so then another story came out after that that they had sex on her 18th birthday. Mind you, I had never had sex with her because I was over 18. I know the law. And again, this was a white girl, and I know how that goes. Shit, anything go wrong after I fuck you and I'm over 18?
Right.
I'm a pedophile now.
Right.
Nope. We could hang out, we could make out, we could do all that. But I am not gonna fuck you until you're 18. And she gave that pussy up to him. And then he got scared because everybody around me found out that I was heavily depressed after me and her breakup. And because I was way bigger than I am now. I used to be 295 pounds after I found out that I wasn't going to make it into the UFC. And after my MMA shit was done, I just ate. And I was in a happy relationship, so I didn't do much.
Right.
So I was just gaining weight like crazy. And then I went from 295 to 205 in 5-6 months.
5 and 6 months.
Yeah. Because I was sitting in my room, throwing up 8 times a day, and I couldn't eat. I was that stressed.
Wow.
It was shitty. So, and that was when I was like, you know what? I need to get back to this violence so I could feel better.
So violence made you feel better.
That's when I went back into jiu-jitsu. That was why. I could not deal with the loss of that relationship, because that girl, man, I was going to get married to this girl and she was going to be 18. She was going to be 18. I was going to be 21. At 21 years old, I'm thinking about the rest of my fucking life with this girl.
Wow.
And she decided to lie to me and then fuck around with my partner the day before her birthday. And then me take her out to dinner after she lied to me about her friend needing Plan B. She did. Yeah, and she told me that it was her friend that needed the Plan B. And then I found out, no, you took that, liar.
Shit.
So, yeah. That shit fucked me up, and I was like, this is the only thing that makes sense right now. Let's just find the people that we're used to, find the people that we can trust, and just get back to work. If we get back to work, I'm sure that I could change my mental perspective once I feel like I have something in motion. But right then, it was just a free fall.
Another thing I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on the military? Have you ever thought about joining? Do you have any sense of what they call like patriotism about? Because violence, you see that in war. So, did you ever have a sense of, I want to fight for my country? Do you have this kind of attachment to the idea of like the USA or just the military style? Or like your cousin, he joined the Marines,
right? He joined the Marines, but that's for a totally different reason.
Right.
So my family, like I said, we dealt with that racist issue in 2000. After that, every male in my family, we were raised for violence, just in case it comes.
Right.
We learned to shoot, we learned to fight. Everybody. Every single male. And not just the males. The girls, my sister, shit. Be happy my family doesn't carry guns in that house. Because she can shoot. Like, shoot. All the women in my family are better shooters than the men. By a long shot. Like, it's not even close. We're better with fighting somebody. But if it comes down to a shootout, a Hendrix woman is not to be played with. They're going to kill you. And it doesn't matter. But, so he was raised like that. Like, let me show you something. So, look at my hands. You see how my middle finger curves on this one, like naturally?
Yeah.
And this one doesn't? So this is a trademark of a Hendrix man. Our fingers are curved like Moe's. Moe's Hendrix was my great-grandfather. Both of his middle fingers were curved. So now, every Hendrix, if you are a Hendrix, your middle fingers are curved. My cousins my middle finger on this hand was straight. My cousin curved it for me. That's the role of an older cousin in my family. I did that to my little cousin. We all have curved fingers. So, he was raised with that because he was born in 2000. He didn't know my cousin. He was a baby when she died. Like a baby. Like, he was part of what helped me. Part of. Because they didn't sentence me to go straight to jail. They let me go to the funeral. They let me be a part of the grieving process for my family. I was monitored, but I was a part of the grieving process for my family. And my little cousin, I remember at the repast, the only thing that I remember was having him on my lap, and we were playing the rodeo game, where I just bounced him up and down, and he acted like he was on a horse. And that was what got me through that day. Because I wasn't going to be able to cry anymore. I couldn't handle looking up at the presentation. I couldn't do it. So it was just me and him. And so he was raised after Regina. He doesn't know what it was like before. So he was raised to be very aware. And if it comes down to it, be very, very violent.
I want to share something with you. I read a lot of history. I was reading a ancient book called The March of the 10,000 by an ancient Greek writer called Xenophon. And in this book, it's called also the Anabasis. He's writing about how 10,000 soldiers were stuck in Persia. 10,000 Greeks were stuck in Persia after they betrayed them. And they were trying to leave and escape. And Xenophon, who was the writer, became the general of that army. But initially he entered into the army as more like a journalist, but they saw his leadership and they promoted him to that position. You could download the book anywhere, it's free, because it was written 1,500 years ago or more. And there was a specific passage in which kind of reminds me a little bit of what you are in your warrior mentality. Keep in mind, of course, they didn't have bullets or anything like that, but in the sense of going to war as a warrior. There's a passage here that he writes. This was a couple days after they had escaped and they were fighting some enemies that were trying to kill them, and they had to travel like a lot of miles, right? And he says this: I have also noticed this, gentlemen, that when men seek nothing in warfare but only life at all costs, they are generally the ones to die, and that with disgrace and ignominy. But when they recognize that all men must die, for this is their common lot, and strive only to die with honor, these I see growing to old age, and whilst they live much happier.
That's true. It's very true. But so for my cousin, he joined the Marines because he's used to the lifestyle. He was raised violent. He was raised in that the men are with the men. We don't do the nurturing and the friendly stuff. Every time I went down to San Diego, we fought. Like fought. It wasn't just, oh, let me tap you here. No. I need to know that you're able to do this, just in case somebody else tries you. I need to know that you will be able to walk away from that. I need to know that you can make it, because we can't. Our grandfather cannot lose another grandchild. So then he went into the Marines for comfort. There's violence there.
Right.
There's violence there. It's the same situation as his family setting. Them dudes are going to make sure that you know what you need to do when you're out there, and they're going to be the ones to make sure that you know how to do it. It's what he's used to. He's used to people being in his face and yelling at him. He's used to all the bullshit. He's done it for 18 years. So this is nothing new for him. So then he told us, because he had full ride scholarships, he could have gone to, he tested into universities in Japan. And I was ready to pay for him to go. And he went, I'm going to go be a Marine. Why the fuck would you do that, bro? You just showed everybody that you're smart enough to make it to college in a fucking culture that doesn't let anybody go to college. I'm used to this now. This is comfortable for me. I don't want to go too far. I want to be here with you guys, and after them 4 years, I can go to school here. I don't know how long I'll be in Japan, and you don't know how long I'll be in Japan for my degree. But as long as I'm here, I'm here. As long as I can come back, I'm good. That's where his head is. Me, I wasn't going to go into the military for 2 reasons. One, I have a paranoia issue when it comes to my family. I feel like if I'm in a position to where I can't be there to protect my family, that somebody will take advantage of it. Mm. And that is a real fear for me. So then I was like, that's not an option. And then on top of that, with me learning from my grandfather, who was a veteran, he fought in I believe it was Vietnam. He was in Nam, but he wasn't in Nam. He was in Alaska, where they shipped all the bodies. He was in a platoon that was segregated, that didn't have a heat source. Their heater went out. The white barracks heater was on, but they weren't allowed in there. So everybody in his platoon grabbed their guns and had to go and invade their own barracks to get heat to live throughout the night. That's what I learned. I was like, okay. And my grandpa went, yeah, and our sergeant went to prison for that. Our sergeant went to prison for making that command. We didn't all get it put at fault because we were labeled as stupid. We couldn't know any better. He knew better, apparently. So he had to go to jail for it. We were just dumb black people following somebody else's rules. So when I had that picture of the military in my head, I went, that's crazy. And then as I got older, I started seeing more situations where in my head the military it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I support every person that goes into the military. It's a very noble cause. It's a very great decision to make. It's one that I wasn't going to make because for me, I even if I went into the military, I can't protect my people. Right. It didn't matter to me. And my grandfather, his thing was yeah, I went and I did my job in Nam, and I came home and I still couldn't vote.
Wow.
Still didn't let me vote. Didn't matter. And that to me, that told me, so I could do a million great things over there, and it still doesn't fucking matter over here. It won't matter. So that's the fucked up part to me for the military is they're doing something that is 100% thankless. They're putting their lives on the line for people they do not know because they think it's right. And that's the whole reason why they're out there. They think they're doing the right thing. Past that, they don't have to think. When your whole purpose, you are 18, you're trying to do the right thing. Anything beyond that is beyond you. Anything beyond that is beyond you. I just want to make a good impact on the world. And I see that our military is all over the world, and they do good things from what I hear. You don't know what that is, really. Not really. You haven't been able to experience it. That's the fucked up part for me, is that they don't take dudes over 30. Because after 30, you got some dudes that really have some life experience, and they're going to holler at some people and go, no. Fuck, what? You want what? No, that doesn't make sense. But you could take an 18-year-old, put him in Afghanistan, where everybody thinks he's a fucking monster, and then go, yeah, good luck, protect yourself. But all the kids over there, they see that uniform and they go, that dude killed my uncle, that dude killed my mama, that dude killed so and so. You're putting young dudes who don't know any better in a position to go die. And the thing is that there's millions of them that are willing to do it.
Right.
And that's where it's fucked up. But I also commend them kids for doing that. Because I'm like, it's something that I wouldn't do.
Right.
But that's just, that's because of the things that I dealt with. I wouldn't do it because, for me, a dude in my face is too close to my face.
Right.
That's where my head was at 17, was, I can't join the military. I was like, I cannot join the military. Dude, yell at me, I'm going to punch him. That's just where it's going to go. I'm going to end up in military jail trying to do the right thing. That's just where it's going to be. And I already see this playing out this way. And every time I've thought about it, it plays out the same. So I don't think it's going to be any different when I get there. My cousin, though, he's a better dude than me. And I can say that honestly because he's endured more than I have, for one. There's a cousin that he never met, but he celebrates her every year. And he celebrated her every year of his life since he knows. He lost his mom 3-4 years ago. Wait, no. He was in high school, so that was a couple years ago, actually. Like 2 or 3, maybe. Dad wasn't around as much for him. He had 2 different families that he was going in between, and it was difficult for him. Mm-hmm. Dad was addicted to drugs. Mom was addicted to drugs. Mom died. He stuck by himself. He had to, and that was when I realized how much better he was as a human than me. Was when that happened. Because of this. My mom is living, but you can't say anything bad about my mom to me. And me be rational. You can't do that. I watched family members talk shit about his mother to him. To a point where I wanted to fight.
Right. And it wasn't even your mama.
And he just walked away.
Right.
And I went, okay. That's the dude that I want to lead the rest of the family. That's the guy.
You admire him because he's much more emotionally controlled than you are?
No, it's just that he's willing to endure more. He's willing to go farther. He has everyone's back. He was complain. He was one to admit when he was wrong at things. And he took his punishment for things that he did wrong. He owned it. He's been owning it for years. Me, I'm going to complain. I'm going to make a million excuses. And then if you don't want to agree with me, we can fight. I don't care. Him, I understand your opinion. I'll take it into consideration. I think I need to think about it a little more. 2 totally different reactions to adversity. Him, he's willing to take it, compute it, analyze it, assess it. He's willing to do all of the things that need to be done. Me, I'm not. And it took me a while to be honest with myself about that. But man, am I not. I'm not even close to that.
What do you think it's that virtue that you lack?
The hard part for me is that I don't think that I lack it. And I think that's part of my problem. That could very well be part of my problem. But it would be compassion.
Oh, okay.
I think that he's compassionate. I think that he empathizes and he thinks about, when he thinks about things from my viewpoint, he's not thinking about it from his. He's thinking about it from the person that's saying it.
The selflessness.
Yeah, he has that in spades. And me, if you're just gonna say something stupid, I don't need to hear you. Right. I don't need to tolerate anyone. I've tolerated enough. I don't fake my
disagreement.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna try to compartmentalize it. I'm gonna let you know, and we're gonna either leave it there or we can advance the conversation however you see fit. Right. I'm fine with all aspects of this conversation, but one thing you're not gonna do is change my mind
Of course. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to hear your story, bro.
But that's one of the things that's my attitude towards confrontation. You're not going to change my mind. The only thing that can happen here is you're going to try to either fight me or you're going to be blue in the face because I'm not going to agree with you ever. As soon as I feel that switch hit, it's hit and it's done. Right. It's done from that point on. There's no negotiation in that for me. That's the problem. And with him, he's even willing to negotiate to a point where he knows he's already losing, and he's going to negotiate with you more.
Another thing I gotta share with you, because I mean, this is just fucking amazing. This is This is a book that you should read called Machiavelli on Modern Leadership, and there's a note that I like here, and it goes here. It says, it's from one of my favorite contemporary philosophers. He's a freedom scholar. His name is Michael Ledeen. He says, conflict is not the consequence of the rational pursuit of self-interest, either by states or by individuals. It flows straight from the deepest wellsprings of human nature. It is not an aberration, nor does it come from a failure of understanding. It is an integral, inescapable part of what we are. It applies to all human activities, foreign and domestic, scholarly and athletic, in enterprise as in the pursuits of people of faith.
Yeah.
So whenever I see people trying to, what they call it, common ground.
Yeah.
They're really,
well, for me,
you can't really common ground. It's like a lost cause.
Exactly, and there's two ways
of looking at it.
Yeah, well, to approach it.
Right.
You can go, there's never going to be a common ground, but I can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's my way or the highway. That's the difference between me and my cousin. He can hear you.
Right.
Me, I don't care. I don't care.
But you're honest with yourself to say, look, I am the way I am. I'm real, and that's it. You can either take it or leave it. And people can either accommodate themselves to you. You can live by a code, and I'll live by a code, and we can either build something good with that, or we can just part ways.
No, I'm not parting ways. You're gonna get.
No, I mean, like, I'll part my way, and you part your way.
That's the truth.
Right.
But no, when it comes to me, you're coming my way, and I don't care how you feel about it. Because I'm right. That's it.
That's it.
My cousin's like, and if you don't like it, run fast, because I will catch you. You better be fast out of this, because I'm after you. You will be coming to my side. My cousin's like, you can be on the other side. I just need to know what that side is. I don't know that side.
Right.
And then there's me. Why are you talking to him? He's coming with us. We're going this way.
Oh, shit, man. This has been something. This has been really something, bro. This has been a great conversation, man.
It really has, man. I really appreciate meeting you today.
I mean, there's nothing else I can tell you, but this has been eye-opening for me, and I have something else that I want to share with you. And this is completely up to you.